Hello again. This is Brilliant Fools. I am Adam Green, and this week we are focusing on this concept of uh, it's a concept of respect, but it's also um, let's put it this way. Today, on this Technical Tuesday, we're going to explore how that concept plays out in a more boots on the ground, day to day type application. And I wanted to go through this in the light of a customer journey, if that makes sense. So in other words, your potential customer or client, what is their journey going to be like in actually becoming your customer or your client, from maybe not even knowing you exist to coming into that. And let's take a look at that on two fronts. Let's take a look at that both for a product and for a service. The overwhelming majority of this, like the basis of everything, is going to be what Jesus said, which is treat others the way that you want to be treated. So if you have a way that you want to be treated, treat others in the same way also. If you want it to be easy to find what you're looking for and where you're looking for, try to make it easy for other people to find you. If you like to be served and be thanked and shown gratitude for purchasing something from someone or being someone's client, do the same for them. How you want to be treated is just an excellent baseline for treating others in the same way. I've heard it said also that you treat others how they want to be treated. To an extent, yeah. It's a lot harder to tell how they want to be treated, and it's a lot harder to tell how they're going to react to that. Um, so I think a better baseline, and the reason why Christ said it was, look, treat others the way you want to be treated, because you know how you like to be treated. So in that case, I think it becomes much easier to put ourselves in the shoes of our potential customers, potential clients, and say, like, if you're running a website, how easy is it to get around on the website? How easy is it to actually make a purchase from that website? If you are in a storefront, how easy is it, or how beneficial is it to the customer to be able to actually come in and find what they need and be helped and make the sale, right? How do you like to be treated when that happens? If you're going into a store, do you, some people prefer to not have any help. I know what I want. I know where I want it. I'm going to go get it. But then again, you may want someone actually asking and saying, hey, can I help you find something? And if not, then not. If so, then yeah, let me just help you get everything in and serve you well, right? But let's just kind of take a look at each step along the customer journey, beginning with just the basic awareness stage, right? A customer needs to know that I exist and needs to know that the product or the service existed. And it can go from I didn't know this existed, or it could even be I didn't know I needed this thing. So, for instance, one thing, excuse me, one thing that my son, he mentioned to me there are some wood projects that he wanted to do. So I was like, okay, great. Let's go practice that. Let's go try that. And so we made some just coasters, general coasters like this one here. Nothing too fancy, nothing too amazing. What sets them apart, the unique thing about this that I didn't know existed before I started looking at this, was these are stained with coffee. This is just a poplar wood board, and it's cut into a square. Um, Poplars are generally pretty light kind of wood, but then you take a dark coffee and you stain it, and then I rubbed some tung oil on there for protection. It's got a really neat dark, especially the end grain has a pretty dark contrast. It doesn't show up on video that well, but it's just a pretty neat concept. Like coffee, I was like, what if there's a coffee stained coaster for my coffee cup? That just seems pretty interesting. I didn't know that existed, but now I do. Um, and others may not know that exists, but what I've told them is what we'll do is we'll put them up on Etsy and see if they sell. But that's how others can also know that something like this exists. They can tool around on Etsy, kind of move around a little bit, and then see what kind of coasters there are, and people will be like, oh, I didn't know that existed. It could also be, I didn't know I needed this. And let's take a service, for instance, right? So let's say you're in the septic industry. So if I'm buying my first house and I grew up in the suburbs, and I'm going to buy a house out in the country because that's where I can actually afford something. It goes through the inspection and it turns out the septic hasn't been pumped for 25 years. It's probably something I want to get done. That may be something I don't even know is a thing until it's brought to my mind. And I'm like, oh, I didn't even know I needed that. Or I may have known it's a thing, but I didn't think about it because that's just not the world that I live in. So I didn't know this existed, or I didn't know that I needed this, is kind of the situation there. A lot of times that's going to come, people's awareness will come through advertisements, word of mouth. So maybe referrals that people give because you've done work for other people. It could be SEO, so search engine optimization, Google searches, things like that. And those things can apply for both products and for services. So identifying where you're going to serve people as well. So if I'm in the septic service business, it may only be a certain geographical area. So that's where I want to concentrate my actual advertisement. And I may want to advertise in local, could be periodicals, could be actual paper advertising, could be on those screens in restaurants that'll cycle through different, it's like a TV screen, but they may not always have television playing on it, and they'll cycle through local ads. It could be from a website, just having a website and keeping up, even if it's a once a month blog post, that can be enough to generate some positive growth on search engines. So raising awareness. Okay. And then the next stage is the consideration stage. Is this something I actually need? Is this something I want? That's just kind of considering it. Okay, do I want to buy that product, the coaster? Do I want to buy those coasters? Or do I not really need them because I already have too many? It's just kind of a consideration type thing. Do I want to get the septic pumped, or is it something I can do without? Now, in this case, if it's been 25 years, get it pumped. Get your septic pumped before you do anything else. So it's a consideration stage. Part of that consideration stage is also, okay, who would I go with if I was going to go with it? So in that case, what helps you to identify your consideration? Do you search around a lot and try to figure out what the best deal is monetarily? Do you figure out what the best value is? Do you figure out what the best quality is? What's going into that? Some things you might need are testimonials from other people. Like if somebody's referring you out, it may be easier to you already have that testimonial, right? So someone else trusts is saying, hey, call my guy so-and-so. Call my guy Greenhouse so he can come and give you some good business consultation, right? Or if it's on Etsy, then the customer reviews, right? Google reviews, those sort of things, those service testimonials. On your website, you may just have a landing page with a video on it that says, hey, how you doing? Here I am. Here's who I am. If it's a commodity type product or service, maybe you don't have the owner. Maybe you do. It doesn't really, it may make a difference. It may not, but just a little bit of information about what it is and maybe what sets you apart, because that leads into the decision side of things. So that's kind of the next stage. There's consideration and then there's decision. So deciding not just am I going to do it, but who am I going with when I'm going to do it? And again, that's all part of the same thing. But if I am doing this, let's take the product. If I'm trying to sell my product online, let's say I'm trying to sell these coasters online, I could have them on my own website and have control of that. And there are advantages that go with that. I don't pay any fees to anyone else. But it can be very difficult for people to find that. That can be very difficult for people to find. But if I'm doing it through something like Etsy, then I ease that process a lot, right? I can ease that decision-making stage. For me, that's huge. If I can buy it on Amazon, if I can buy it on some online site, especially that I'm already signed up with, I don't have to go to a new website. I don't have to go to a new place to do it. That's big for me. Same thing with the service. If I can find that person easier, I know from my own experience, it matters more the quality that I'm getting with the service that I need than it does the price or the ease of checkout, if that makes sense. It's still nice to be able to find people easily, but if I'm paying for a subscription type service, well, that's going to be different. I want to know I want to know all the details on, not all the details, that may be the wrong way to put it. I want to know enough information to be able to tell if I need to cancel my subscription. How hard is that going to be? You know, because I've gotten burned on that before, right? Where it's very difficult to cancel the subscription. Do I have to pay everything up front, or can I just have a trial before it goes into that stage? All those things are considerations that I like. You may not be motivated by those things, and if you aren't, don't worry about it. Go with what motivates you, and that's likely going to attract the kind of customers that you like. If not, then you got to start thinking about what kind of customers do I like, and what do they like when it comes to making a decision. What's the easiest way to get on that? A lot of that may have to be in surveys and stuff like that. So somebody's made a decision, they've gone ahead and made the purchase, but now there's a fulfillment stage or onboarding stage, right? So it's time to actually get the person in and let them know maybe what to expect. Think about this when you're buying something on Amazon. That it's one of the first things that happens. You buy it and it says what? You can have same day delivery, in some cases, a 1-day delivery, 2-day delivery. It can show you how far out it is. That's setting the expectations for the customer. If you're a client, say you're a tax services client, how long is it going to take to get this done? What's kind of the time window? 2 weeks to a month. Okay. So setting some kind of expectation there. If you're the septic service, right? How long is it going to take you to get here? And how long is it going to take to clean out the septic system? And is it going to have to be on hold for a while so that I can't use it? What are my expectations? So set those expectations, welcome them, and make them feel good about what they've what they've purchased. But honestly, in that case, it's just looking at it from their standpoint, being good to people, serving them, loving them. If you focus on that, if you focus on serving and loving people, then you've got it accomplished. Honestly, then you've got it accomplished. This is why it's so much easier to do things God's way. It's so much easier to take the example that Christ set and just go based on that. Then we don't have these questions. I mean, those things get answered for us. There's the onboarding stage also bleeds into like the engagement stage. And that probably happens more with services than it does with products, but it can happen with both. I'll give you an example of that. If I am preparing taxes for someone, and if you've ever had your taxes prepared, you probably know this. There's the engagement stage where I am constantly engaged with them because I'm asking them questions about what's going on and what we still need in order to finish the return. So there's an engagement stage that goes on there, continuous engagement. When it's a product, there is still engagement that happens, believe it or not, or a lack thereof. And people can notice that, especially depending on the product they're buying. If you buy something from Apple, there's an engagement stage. When you open it, there's almost a welcoming type thing. And a lot of other tech companies try to do this too. If you purchase a phone or something like that, I purchased a computer, not an Apple computer, a PC. And when I opened it, it just the way that it was packaged and the welcome packet, all that kind of stuff. And this is how you set it up. This is what to look out for. There was a continuous engagement there. I bought some disc golf discs one time, and there was a handwritten note inside of it, just thanking me for my purchase. When I bought them, this was for my son, starter set for him, and they made mention of that, and they made a little note of that, and they had an engagement. They said, if you'd be willing, could you want to send a video of him opening it? And so I did that and saw his excitement, and there was an engagement there, even with a product. So it is possible to still be very engaged when it comes to a product, not just the service. There's customer retention as well. And so this is kind of the goal, right? It is so much less expensive to retain current customers than it is to try to get new ones. And the more you can retain customers, the better off it's going to be for you, the more stability you're going to have. And that's both in products and service. Some products, this is a little bit different, but every retailer, online or box store or anything like that, is searching for those repeat clients. You can see it easily in restaurants. I mean, those people at Chick-fil-A or Waffle House or wherever you are, Tim Hortons or whatever, those people that constantly go back. And they're repeat customers. And if they go back to the same store, they know you. There's kind of a familiarity and engagement there. And the product really does become a service to that person at that time, if it wasn't before. They're loyal, they're grateful, they're excited to give back. They're your own personal evangelists. I have a friend who calls them raving fans. You want to create raving fans, right? I think someone else came up with that term, but anyway, he uses it a lot. And they're good things. These are things that you're trying for. When you're in the service-based industry, it's the same way. You want that client retention. And I like it when referring to that client retention also as raving fans or even evangelistic. And I use that evangelistic thing, not it's spreading good news, essentially, is what the evangelistic thing means, not in the sense of, talking about Christ. Hopefully they will, and hopefully that's the ultimate goal and the ultimate end that happens here. But when talking about your business, even if it's pumping a septic system, that should only happen once every, in decades, right? If it's selling a house, realtors want that client retention. It looks different. It's not that they're repeat customers necessarily in that case, or repeat clients. It's not like the tax clients that come back every year, but it's those that will talk about you and those that will build you up and quote unquote evangelize for you. That's a wonderful thing to have. How do those things happen? A lot of that is set in that engagement stage, especially that onboarding stage, the client first experiences stage, that engagement stage. Really, the whole process leads to this. Those raving fans, those ones that are singing your praises without you saying a thing, without you having to ask for those Google reviews, without you having to ask for that stuff. They really enjoy it. Ask for that stuff, by the way. Ask for those reviews. Ask for those things and take them seriously, because one, they're going to help you out and help you know what people don't like and how you can change it. Even if I set everything up based on how I like to be treated, it may turn out I like to be treated a little bit differently than most other people, but that'll come out. And my desire to love and serve people is going to lead me to adjust as I need to adjust, right? But there will be things that you want to hear from people through each stage of the process. You want to know, how is this working out for you? And this ultimately is once you get down, once you have a business. Now, if you're an entrepreneur and you're trying to get started in something, that might be getting a little bit ahead of the game. It's important just to get started and see what sticks and what's going to start getting traction for you. And then you can start really understanding from people. If you want to start with all of this and you can handle all that, that's great. If you want to get into every single bit and all the minutia and get surveys along every step of the process, that if you can handle it, that's fine. But if you're like me, that's going to stop you from moving forward. That stops me from continuing on where I know I need to. Because I look at that and I look at all those surveys and everything that I have to, I mean, it's just me, right? At this point, it's pretty much just me trying to get everything going, trying to get everything generated in some kind of traction. And then I've got to add all this extra stuff on top of it. It's overwhelming for me to even think about that. But once I've got things established and things are kind of running a little bit more smoothly, okay, now I can start looking into these things. Most of this mapping out your whole customer journey, it's a good idea. And it's a good idea to have a basic framework for it, a basic understanding when you first get started. But by all means, do not let that stop you. If you want to sell coasters on Etsy, just get them up there and get them going. Sell some things, right? Sell a few products if you want to. There are other things that my kids want to do, is crafts and things, and I'll help them along that journey, and we'll put them up there and we'll see if any of them gain any traction. And it may take a little while to find out, but we'll find out. We'll go from there. The consulting that I'm doing, I'm also working with another guy. We just started talking together, and he's got more experience than I do. Which, by the way, there's a whole other lesson in that. How do you gain experience beyond your years? And that's, well, you work with somebody else, right? You work with somebody who has that experience, that collaboration stage. But there are nuances that are different between our experiences, between our approaches, and, we're working that out and seeing, okay, what do we need to do? How are we going to need to adjust it? And where are we going from there? But if we do that in light of trying to put ourselves in the other person's shoes, if you do it in light of trying to put yourself in the other person's shoes, then what that will do for you is, first of all, it helps you do things according to the way that the word says. You're honoring other people. You're respecting them. You are considering the interests of others, not just your own interests. You are treating others the way that you want to be treated. It's God's way of doing things. And what that does is that it shortcuts the process of having to do all these surveys and try to identify things along the entire customer journey and figure it out as you go. You operate based on love and serving people. That figures pretty much everything out from the start. So hopefully this has helped. Again, that customer life cycle, it's not here's all the stages. If you want the stages, we'll call them 5 stages, 6, 7 stages, something like that, starting with awareness, consideration, and decision. Those could be 2 stages. The onboarding stage and engagement, right? Those are 2 different stages, the welcome stage and the engagement continuing on stage, the service stage. So that's onboard or awareness, consideration, decision, welcome, engagement or service of the customer stage. And then you have that retention or raving fan evangelism stage. So we'll call it 5 different stages. You could split those out up to probably even 7 stages if you want to. But that's kind of a life cycle. And there's all kinds of things that can go into that. You can have emails, phone calls, interaction, live interaction with people, handwritten notes. There's a lot of different tools that can be used for those things. Consider what it is that you're offering. Consider how it is you like to purchase something that is similar to what you're offering, and then use that as kind of a framework to walk through the customer's journey and hopefully serve them well and love them, because they are loved. They are loved by God, and we love because He first loved us. Let's love well, let's serve well, and go out and be some brilliant fools for Christ. Thanks.